The cyber war against Venezuela. How to fake a popular movement online. The story so far. Nicolas Maduro successfully ran for re-election in the Venezuelan presidential contest against a unified opposition. Maduro's victory was recognized mainly by states in the counter-NATO bloc of geopolitics, including Russia, China, Iran, the DPRK, and most other nations opposed to America's foreign policy goals. Election results were disputed by states and NGOs which encompass the US sphere of geopolitical influence. Most NATO member states, Israel, Japan, Australia, the EU, and OAS, American analog of EU composed of states aligned to the US. Majority of non-aligned movement and Third World functionally recognize Maduro. What is being done to Venezuela? Very similar to the coup in Bolivia some years ago, massive amounts of bot accounts on major social media are being used to create the illusion of overwhelming popular opposition to Maduro and or support for the opposition forces within the country. While it is not provable whether it is a coordinated effort, a full effort across the online political spectrum has been made to discredit the Venezuelan government and erode their legitimacy in recent days, along with encouraging acts of violence and terrorism. Maduro felt it necessary to call out owner of X, Elon Musk personally, for his perceived role in incitement to violence and election interference. Who are the main factions of anti-Venezuelan activists online? Liberal Atlanticists, believing that Venezuela has failed to germinate into a democratic liberal open society, and that the only possibility to redeem the situation is Western intervention, the white man's burden. The conservative and new right in Western Europe and the United States, using Venezuela's woes as anti-socialist propaganda, blaming the Venezuelan government for social ills such as drug smuggling and illegal immigration, racial demonization of Venezuelans in general. Crab bucket socialists and Marxists, Trotskyite, Luxemburgite, ultra-left capitulation of the above narratives, not true socialism. Neo-Nazis and fascists, explicit racial demonization of Venezuelans and of Maduro's Sephardic Jewish heritage, coupled with anti-communism, Judeo-Bolshevism. When you're taking flak, it means you're over the target. This shows an obvious unity in those opposed to the Venezuelan government of the day. This unity is based on material economic motivations. Whatever propaganda line is used against the Venezuelan government matters very little in the scheme of things, as long as they are not being spread in the same media ecosystems and appear to obviously contradict. Some Facebook, YouTube posts aimed at the liberal Atlanticist wing of politics and or the new right may paint Nicolas Maduro as being anti-Semitic or aligned with such forces. Other accounts may produce posts spearing Maduro for his Jewish heritage and claim that the PSUV government in Venezuela is a Jewish plot, Judeo-Bolshevism. Why is this being done to Venezuela? Desire of US and potentially European interests to gain control over the extraction and export of Venezuelan resources. Venezuela has centered itself as a spoke in the wheel of a pan-American sovereignist, new democratic, national democratic movement. The ALBA and Sao Paulo Forum, including Cuba, Nicaragua, Bolivia, Honduras, several Caribbean states, and optimistically, potentially Brazil, Colombia, and Panama, which is absolutely critical to global trade, and Chile. It is considered an absolute imperative to the US, to the survival of US hegemony, that this national democratic movement in their backyard be smashed. Some quick critiques. The liberal argument. When has a US military intelligence, CIA, MI6 operation, and or direct military intervention ever moved a nation more towards the Western liberal ideal of political openness, anti-corruption, and democracy? The question answers itself if one is being honest with oneself. The conservative New Right critique. The majority of conservative and younger New Right voters in the European Union and the wider NATO plus world tend to advocate the idea of isolationism and non-interventionism. Crisis is found in leaders elected by these groups failing to put these policies into action. Trump using the phrase America first, the term used by the anti-war wing of US politics during World War I and II, European and American right deeply displeased to continue interventionism in Ukraine, primarily due to the governments of the day that triggers these interventions being liberal or social democratic in outlook. Some exceptions to this exist, e.g. Poland. which is under a which was under a nominally nationalist government at the start of the Ukrainian conflict, which they participated in heavily. What exactly makes interventionism in Ukraine a waste of Western resources, but not so in Venezuela? The fact the government of Venezuela is socialist? Is aesthetics over substance the end of your politics? I intend for another video to be released along with this one, giving my explanation as to why Marxists should, with their critique of the Venezuelan government, agitate against the deposition of Venezuela's government of the day. The neo-Nazi or fascist critique of Venezuela's government is too ludicrous to truly deserve proper response. Nicolas Maduro, despite his Sephardic Jewish heritage, has always spoken out against the state of Israel and for the rights of the Palestinian people. Anyone claiming otherwise is having fun in their own mind.